morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good this morning. The future will either be green or not at all, has been said by Bob Brown. Either we will have a green future or there is no future at all. This is the time. Today is 5th June and it is World Environment Day. We should take a resolution that we will do something about our environment. It could be either by cutting down our plastic usage, or it could be taking small showers, not wasting water here and there, looking after trees or planting trees, and there are many things. I'm sure we all are aware about it, what we need to do, but this is something that we cannot rely on, or we cannot just throw it on the government to do it. We as a community, as citizens, we have to look after our environment. We have very important articles in today's the Hindu newspaper. We have two articles associated with environment. You have this one. It is about this Wildlife Protection Act. What are the issues with this Wildlife Protection Act and why states should be given a chance to highlight which species are most important in that particular area. Then you have to be an environmental world power, what India can do and what is going on as far as environment is concerned. This one is a very interesting article about food security. It talks about stability, and it also talks about two generations of a viewpoint of food security. Now we need a third generation viewpoint, the latest one. This one is about rot-in rehabilitation. A new concept called urban untouchability is been going on for a very long period of time. We are trying to get rid of our slums, but what we are creating, this new tenements that are created by government, are not that efficient. They are not that effective as well. In fact, they are destroying the future of millions of people in our country. Governance and the governor. Do we need the post of governor? We talked about this particular governor issue, and today we have some more add-ons. So we'll quickly go through this particular article. You have this farm friction. This is about this agitation that is going on. Farmers throwing away milk and vegetables, and other strikes are going on. They are going to conduct a big strike in near future. So we'll go through this article and we'll find out what they are demanding, and we'll also go through some important things associated with MS Swaminathan committee and other things. Now this one is about the strain in Spain. All the things about Spain has been explained to you in our previous discussion. We have talked about this Catalonia issue. I have provided you picture. There is a special video lecture available as well. So basically, new Prime Minister has took over Spain, and he is going to start negotiation with the president of Catalonia. So let's wait and watch. There is nothing new in this one, right? As far as this editorial is concerned, it's going to be an easy read for you guys, but we have nearly 6 articles to go through. So let's move on, and before moving ahead, I would like to inform all of you that pen drive and tablet courses are with you guys. We cover UPSC, right? In UPSC you can see we cover history, geography, polity, right? CSET courses, international relations, science and technology, ecology, economics, and it is for pre and mains. You have optional courses as well. We have covered SSC and bank, NABARD, RBI, professional courses are covered. If you are preparing for state public service commissions, then we have got this many different state level exams under our belt. We have railway courses and much more. Test series is out there as well for your upcoming exams, and find out more about it on studyiq.com. The good news or good thing is that at present you are getting 50% off. This is going to be applicable or valid till 8th of June. So make the most out of this 50% discount that you are getting with this. If you want to get in touch with me, then you can get in touch with me via my Facebook page or Twitter handle. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this lecture with other people as well. To be an environmental world power. Now, ecological ruin, the things that are going on. We know we have recently seen this thunderstorm. If you visit any river place, you will find so much of garbage. Yesterday I provided you a picture. Now talking about yesterday's lecture before we move ahead, yesterday basically my lecture was finished on time. It was about to get launched, but we decided that we should provide you this analysis of UPSC's pre-paper part 2 and part 3. So this slot was handed over to these 2 lectures, and then later on we had some other important lectures. So basically what I have done is I have uploaded yesterday's, that is 4th June 2018's Hindu analysis is launched today morning. So make sure you go through it if you haven't. And yes, so in yesterday's Hindu you will find a big picture of endangered species of stock. They are sitting on a pile of plastic or garbage mountain, right? We find this sort of things everywhere in our country. As far as South Asia is concerned, right, where you find 25% of world population living. This is South Asia here. You can see SAARC countries are part of this South Asia. So 25% of population is living here, and what we find is that ecology is getting ruined over here. If you go through all these areas, right, Indus area, if you cover this whole Indus area, this whole Gangetic area, Brahmaputra area, we find that some of the most populated countries in the world, and here you find densely packed areas. These are some of the most densely populated areas as well. And air quality or other sort of water quality, ground quality, right, soil quality, everything is getting, you can say, destroyed, right? Day by day we find so many issues over here. And the sad thing is that even today we are being promised this good life. I'm not talking about any one particular political party, but the way things are going on. If you think about it, I'm sure it is going to be a bit difficult for you to sit down quietly and think about it. But if you really think about it, then you will realize that this is all going on because we are promised a sort of a replica of American life, that you will have a car, you will have a house, you will have all these gadgets and everything. You need this and that. You need this clothes. Every few months you need to change your clothes, and you know, all this consumerism is injected in us. We see it in media, we see it in films and songs and all these things, right? We find this sort of things surrounding us. Advertisements are everywhere, from your bottled water to your everything. If you observe just today, you find everything around you, right? You will find some sort of names of brands, stickers, and who has made this thing. So everyone is trying to sell something and something to you. They are trying to stay there in your brain. And because of this thing, all these natural resources, we don't care about them that much, because nowadays we live in such a world that we value only those things on which you have spent huge amount of money. If you have purchased a phone worth 90,000 rupees, right, then you will care about that phone just like your heart, you know. Yeah, it will be very close to your heart. But what about fresh air, fresh water? We don't think about it. There are so many companies and factories, right? They pour huge amount of wastewater directly. They pump and inject this thing into freshwater bodies, and 1 liter of bad water will pollute 6 liter of pure good water. And this is just about water. What about this biodiversity that is living in these rivers and other lakes? No one is calculating this sort of things. The sad thing is that all this aerosols and disease vectors, wildlife, or you can say recently we talked about this thunderstorms, right, desertification, these things, they do not respect national boundaries. For them, there is no Pakistan, there is no India, it is just one earth. And the way things are going on, it is going to impact all of us, right? If deterioration, or if Indus River is polluted in India or in Pakistan, then it's not that that problem is of Pakistan only. It is going to touch us as well. So the best thing that we can do at present is we need to get together. We have to work together. We have to leave all our political differences. When it comes to border issues, these political issues, then we can have dedicated political people who can discuss this sort of things. But when it comes to environment, right, we have to leave all these things, because it is going to eat away all of us, because we are the ones who are destroying this sort of things. Like, let's take example of this Shivalik range of Himalayas. You have 3 range, right? The higher Himalayas or Great Himalayas, right? They are known as Himadris. They are the ones with highest peak. So you have this Great Himalayas. This is this light blue range or sky blue range. Then a bit darker one, number 2, is your lesser Himalayas. You can call it Himachal, and the most southern part is Shivaliks, right? A Shivalik range is all these boulders and big stones. They are used for construction, and this has been going on in Bihar. And because of this, cutting down of this mountain range has resulted into floods, desertification, and aquifer depletion. But this is going on because we want to make more money rather than looking after our environment. As far as air pollution is concerned, we know that it is strangling us. Wildlife corridors are constricted, so we don't find, say for example, a tiger cannot roam freely from Rajasthan to West Bengal, and because of this thing we are finding this you can say isolation of a tiger species. This is just one example. It applies to other animals as well. This year, United Nations Environment Program has decided that India is going to be a host country. But as a country, are we doing enough to sort out the issues that are going on in our country or in our region? We are the big brother as far as SAARC is concerned. We are the biggest polluter, right, in SAARC region. And it is our duty to protect our environment. We have a very good example of Bhutan, a country that is seriously taking care of its natural environment. But all those efforts of Bhutan is, in fact, if you give two options to Bhutan, either you want development and environment, then they will choose this environment, right? That's what they have done. When this Bangladesh, BBIN, Bhutan, or Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal, this Transport Corridor Vehicle Act, where you can have seamless transportation. Your trucks of Bhutan can enter into India, they can go to Bangladesh, they can go to Nepal. This was discussed earlier on, but Bhutan's parliament has rejected this thing because they said that if trucks from India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, they don't follow this high standard of carbon emissions, so if they are going to enter Bhutan, then this is going to destroy their wildlife. And I think that is a very good decision of Bhutan. But the sad thing is that all this pollution that is created in these three countries here, it is going to impact Bhutan. So alone, either simple is that either we swim together or we sink together. This is the thing. Rivers, pollution going on. This is what we find with different rivers in our country, right? Plastic pollution, so many things. And now I'm sure you know it very well as well. It's not just plastic, it's different sort of things, washing clothes and defecating and injecting this industrial effluents and other things. Even today we are using this old-fashioned, outdated, or you can say unsustainable method of farming. We are using this flooding system, where countries like Madagascar, they are using this drip irrigation, and they are using new ways to produce rice, and they have been doing it very successfully. But even today we have not implemented this thing all across the board. Then we have this Indian Ocean coastline, right? The way this snow is melting, the way things are going on. Densely populated deltas are going to be most affected. If you see these countries here, you find densely populated, particularly this region here, over here, and of course most affected are going to be this one, right? But Irrawaddy as well, this place here. But later on, all these major cities that we have, Bombay, we have of course Chennai and other cities, they are also going to be affected by it. Then we have a new issue of atmospheric brown cloud. Pay attention to this thing. It has this black carbon in it. Black carbon is a very dangerous carbon. It originates from all this soot and smog and burning this wood and other items. And what happens is that this black or brown cloud will rise up, and it will settle down on this Himalayan snow and ice. And because of this carbon is that it absorbs heat, so it will absorb extra heat from atmosphere. this will increase the temperature of this Himalayas, and the melting will be more exacerbated, or it will shoot up. So these are the things. And one more thing that I would like to add here is that we need a new chipko movement. Chipko movement is basically chipking to this, or hugging these trees, not allowing people to cut down this or chop off these trees. So it's not just about tree, but it is about environment as well. We need new generation chipko movement all across the board. We cannot just expect Adivasi communities and Lepcha fighting against this environment protection. And as far as this urban middle class is concerned, we are, when it comes to environment, we are more focused on beautification projects rather than protecting other natural organic environment. And one more thing before closing down this very important item is that I think, right, this is my personal opinion, that we should choose those places that are polluted, right? They should be our picnic spot, right? Families should visit there. Of course, they will not stay there for a full day, but even if they visit this lakes and all this garbage mountains and other places, they will realize, right, this will be a very good education tour for the whole family. This is something that should be added. This is a way of creating awareness, because advertisements and other things are going on, but still it is not rather than just creating, you know, in as far as this planning is concerned, yes, we think about, we are concerned, but when it comes to action, we are still not taking it. Moving on to another item, this is about farm friction. Like since June 1st, many farmers are on unusual 10-day strike, and you know, one of the main reason is to get government's attention. Now, farmers are facing problems in our country for a very long period of time. Every year you find this thing, no matter which party is in power, either at state level or national level, right? Farmers' issues are going on for ages and ages. Now, they have decided that they are going to hold a sort of dharna, right? A sort of, they are going to sit down in protest. They are not going to stop this vehicular passage, or they are not going to create hurdles in this thing, but they are going to be there on 30 national highways. 130 farmers' bodies have decided that they are going for this agitations. Farmers' demands are not new, as I told you, right? What they want is higher price of milk procurement. What they want is proper minimum support price, as decided by, or as said by, this M.S. Swaminathan. M.S. Swaminathan is father of Green Revolution in our country, and loan waivers. Now, why do we find farmers in this situation all the time? The problem is that it's of course government as well as citizens as well. Now, how or why citizens are also involved in this thing? The thing is, when it comes to, say for example, price rise, when the price of vegetable or fruits, right, fruits and veggies, when they go up, the people of our country, they are not happy about it at all. But when we find farmers committing suicide, then we feel sad about it. Then we are concerned. So literally, if you think about it, then we are just concerned about our pockets, right? When farmers, when price goes up of tomatoes and other things, we are worried that this is too much, this is not, you know, sustainable or viable, and etc. But we hardly take it in this way, that this extra money will go in the pockets of our farmers, who really need this money for their life, for their families as well. The other thing is, and the big problem is, that we have so many different chains, right? There are so many reports out there that in fact 1 kilo of potatoes, what farmers will get, say for example, he will get 1 rupee, right? He will get just 1 rupee for 1 kilo of a fruit or vegetable, say for example a particular vegetable. But when we are going out there in the retail market, we are getting it for 10 rupees. So what about this 9 rupees? We have so many middlemen, and these are the people who we need to eliminate. We don't need this middleman. We need directly, farmers can come here, and if farmers are charging us 10 rupees for 1 kilo of potatoes, then as well it's fair, because we are going to pay this 10 rupees anyways. We are paying it now anyways, right? So let's our farmer have a bigger you can say percentage of profit, and this will, right, we are talking about more than 50% of our population. If they are going to make a bit of money, then all this products and services that are produced by factories or services that is produced by this tertiary sector will get a boost as well. It will be beneficial for our whole economy. The other thing is we need to diversify crops as well, right? Farmers, many a times they are still using, if sugarcane prices go up, then they will all plant sugarcane without calculating this, how much water it will require, and without calculating this thing that if there is a sort of healthy output, which will happen this year as well. Because of healthy output, there will be excessive supply of these products in the market and the price will come down. So again, it will create additional pressure on prices. Then you have this governments promising doubling farm income and rising MSP, but even today MSP is not paid on time, it is not declared on time. This sort of things are going on for a very long period of time. As far as this 100% FDI is concerned, it was said at that point of time in 2016 that when this foreign companies or big companies, when they will enter this market, all this supply chain, right? Supply chain basically means this farmer, say for example, this is your field, right? From here you will have this big companies, they will directly purchase these supermarkets, right? They will directly purchase items from you. They will place their orders, so you know what to grow, and you will be paid directly in your bank account, and there will be no middleman. This were the things that were said. But what we find is that even today we don't have that many, you can say, big companies. They are interested. We have not got that much FDI that we were talking about at that point of time when this food retail business was open for 100% foreign direct investment. So these are the things that are going on in our country, and farmers issue is a thing that should be discussed entirely. Scientists, experts, farmers, stakeholders, government people, everyone need to get on board, and we need to design plans for each and every pockets, right? Every state, they have different problems, right? In a state where you have excessive rice, people are fighting fruit and vegetable prices. In place where you have extra fruits and vegetable production, people are fighting for this grain prices and things like that. So we cannot have one just national policy that can be applicable on whole country. We need to break it down. We need more customized solution for different parts. Governance and the governors. Now, I'm sure regular students, you are well aware about this governor thing. It all started, or it is again back in news because of this latest election results of Karnataka. You know how the governor of Karnataka allowed or gave first chance to B.S. Yedurappa, and we talked about this thing that the role of governor, how he works or he or she works, and it's basically a post, right? It's basically a thanks saying post. It's a gesture by the political party to say thank you to some senior leaders that have worked for that particular political party for a very long period of time. It's many times said that it is a sort of retirement luxury that is guaranteed to you when you are made governor of a state. Now, as far as constitution is concerned, there are some duties or powers of governor: overseeing this government formation, reporting to the president if there is a big breakdown of constitutional machinery. It works as a chain of command, right? It can also, when I say it, I am talking about governor's office, or you can say governor. So he or she can reserve his assent to bills passed by the state legislature. She can promulgate ordinances if need arises. And under Article 355, the governor being the central authority, he or she works like an eye and ear for central government. Now, as far as sorting out this governor post is concerned, what we need to work on is this appointment. As I told you, it's a sort of a thanks saying post, right? So we need to get rid of this sort of people or political people entering or becoming governors. What we need is eminent persons from all other walks of life. They should be given chance to become governor. This was recommended by Sarkaria and M.M. Panchi Commission as well, that eminent persons should be made governors rather than political politicians. The other thing is there should be a fixed tenure of 4 governors as well. You cannot just remove governor the whims and fancies of president or ruling party. If you give a protection of tenure, then governors can act freely without getting any pressure from a central government. Then we can also have a committee that can select. You can have opposition leaders as well. We can have a committee that can select these eminent persons as governors. As far as this verdict, Bomai verdict is concerned, very important verdict. It talks about this floor test. So if there is any confusion regarding who is or who has got maximum support of MLAs in a given legislative assembly, it should be verified by a floor test. Now this report of governor, right, earlier on it was out of this judicial review, but later on, due to this Bomai case verdict, the Supreme Court has included that Supreme Court can do a judicial review on the report of governor as who is or who has who should be invited. This should be like claims of that this particular person is going to be there first, right? This sort of things are even today. Like I'll give you this example of B.S. Yadurappa, right? Invitation process, to be more precise. Here we go. This is the word I was looking for. Invitation process is still out of judicial review, right? So this is a discretion, or this is a gray area, you can say, that is still not addressed. This Bomai verdict allows the Supreme Court to investigate claims of malafide in the governor's report. If there is anything wrong with governor's report, then this can be sorted out by judicial review. But this invitation process is still out of purview of judicial review. We need to get this thing under this judicial review, and then we can sort out this gray, or we can have rules and regulations, right? We can have do's and don'ts if we have hung assembly. This is another way as well. Available, accessible, but not stable. This is about right to food. Now we understand food security from 4 different dimensions: access, availability, utilization, and stability. India is party to this Declaration of Human Rights and Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as well as International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. So we are duty bound to provide food, and we are duty bound to ensure that no one is sleeping hungry in our country. Now, broadly speaking, as I told you, that we have 2 different views of food security. Earlier on, post-independence, food security was more about quantity, because we faced this Bengal famine and other things. So it was about production, produce more so that we can get rid of this hunger. So we introduced this green revolution, and we also know that with the help of green revolution we have managed some states, right, they got this excessive production food grains. We became food secure as far as quantity is concerned, but we also attracted many environmental impacts, negative impacts. Now later on, Amartya Sen, who got who got a Nobel Prize in economics because he added this accessibility, and this was accepted by this World Food Summit as well back in 1996, that if you have, this is what happened in Bengal famine as well. Food was there, but Winston Churchill said that the food should be reserved for the forces rather than for the people. So accessibility is a very important thing. If you have 10 kilo of rice in your storeroom, but if you cannot access it, if it is locked, right, and if you cannot break down the door, and if you cannot access this particular rice, then this is not going to be of any use at all. In the same way, if we have good quantity of production, but if people are not able to afford it, or if they don't have access to it, then this is not going to be of any use. So later on we came out with this NFSA, that is National Food Security Act. But National Food Security Act and many clauses under this act are still outdated, or they are not proper. Like it is not covering 100% population, right? It is covering 75% population. The other thing is that during this war, flood, drought, fire, cyclone, and earthquake, you cannot, or this food security is temporarily down. You cannot expect, or you cannot ask for food during this sort of time. Now, it is very ironical. This is the time when you need the food the most, isn't it? The other thing is NFSA is also talking about this progressive provisions like agrarian reforms, public health, sanitation, decentralized procurement, and all these sort of things are talked about this NFSA. But what about stability in supply? We are facing natural disasters. We are facing climate adaptation is going on, right? We need to adapt to this climate. We are trying our level best, but this sort of you can say climate change things are going to badly disturb our production. They are going to disturb our accessibility. So there should be a thing called stability in supply. This is something that should be added, and we need to do everything we can. And if we have to change agriculture system, if we have to add all this public health, sanitation, and decentralized procurement, all this will become part of this stability when we add stability in National Food Security Act, and it should cover each and everyone, right? There should not be any time when food should be or this demand should be rejected. It should be available 24/7 to all people in our country. Then only we would be able to make it more up to date. Protect the great and small. As the center gathers input from states on proposed amendments to this Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, and if we go through this Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, we find that it has got these 6 schedules. Year after year, we have seen that more and more species are added to this thing. The sad thing is that inclusion and exclusion can be done by central government only. Now you have some species like crimson rose. It's a colorful butterfly of South India. It is protected just like tiger, but there are many species like this striped hyena, striped hyena, schedule 3. It falls in schedule 3, and it is not that much protected because we don't have good understanding. There is poor understanding of this striped hyena in our country. The other thing is we don't pay attention to this thing, that what is endemic, right? A thing that is endemic, it's not that it is always endangered or it is always rare, right? The other thing is, if you find some species in different parts of our country, then it does not mean that that species is not endangered. It could be locally endangered in many different pockets. So we need to get states on board. Let states come out with this inclusion and exclusion. Center can guide them, but just the central government deciding everything is again not going to help. It's just like farmers issued. We need more customized and more people taking part, more states taking part in this inclusion and exclusion of this list. Now you have this rot in rehabilitation. Very quickly, we are beaten by clock. As I told you that we are going through 7 articles today. So what we are finding nowadays is that, this getting rid of slum, this demolition that is going on in different parts of our country. So people like coming from different communities like Dalits, Muslims, other backward classes, they are forced to settle in this new settlements that are made by state governments or this city municipalities, right? They have constructed this new houses, but the sad thing is this new houses are in urban peripheries. They are some 35 kilometers, 40 kilometers away from city. So students and workers, they have to travel a very long distance. You don't have good transportation. Street lights are not there, so safety issue is there. Schools, you don't have that many, and indoor toilets are not available. These toilets are available, but they are being used only by teachers. Students have to use or open defecation. You don't have that many ration shops. Physical condition is just this tip of iceberg. What about these other things like kidnapping going on, this drug trafficking, child marriages? All these things are there. So our resettlement theories are not, or the way things are going on, right? We need to focus on both these things, right? You cannot chuck away people. You cannot make them this new urban untouchables, right? If you are resettling them somewhere, then make sure that you are providing them all these facilities that are important, street lights, safety, everything. These are your answers. These are your questions. That's everything in today's discussion, dear friends. Make sure you make the most out of this 50% and keep your environment green and clean. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this lecture with other people as well. Jai Hind.